Well, just just means we gotta LARP and act like they can hear us, just in case they can.
Yeah, you never know. You never know what's gonna happen, really.
Okay, well, Nightcore, any expectations for this map or for this match in general? Any crazy picks or bans, or what do you expect each team to do?
Well, honestly, it seems like Peru is a very strong Rice team, seeding fourth and fifth. However, however, they do kind they do kind of lack a bit more on the LN side, especially LN2 and Hybrid 2. So it's definitely going to be an interesting pick. Meanwhile, for Brazil, Brazil are more well-rounded, I would say, in general. Maybe not Hybrid 2, but honestly, I would see Peru focusing more on the Rice picks, while they would probably aim maybe to try ban one, maybe try ban LN or Hybrid.
Yeah, definitely an interesting game plan for each team. I totally agree with you where Peru is probably going to look for different avenues in the rice pools, whereas Brazil, being that more well-rounded team, honestly, their other skill sets are very close to Peru from what we've seen in qualifiers, aside from that one hybrid fluke, I guess. But I mean, SD is always an interesting choice. I think Brazil can maybe pull off that.
My bad, I was just kind of adjusting my mic. Small bit. So it does seem right now that we are getting into the warm-ups. So there's not really much to speak about, as I really have just been talking about both teams, really, and their strengths and weaknesses. So I do see a couple of familiar names in the scene. I know Natalina, pretty sure. I know a couple of others as well.
Yeah, for me, at least Sotin and Namrin-chan, big names as well. Um, Interestingly enough, this Brazilian squad, I believe, is all new from last year. I don't think there are any returning players at all. So maybe tournament nerves or something like that will come into effect. Definitely helps to usually have at least one or two uh, accomplished individuals in the tournament scene, but it seems like Brazil just has all baby faces here.
Yeah, it's always nice to see new faces. But I guess the more tournaments you do play, you kind of just get a bit more experience. It kind of makes life a bit easier for you, really.
For sure. And with this warm up almost done, it seems like again Brazil isn't really trying on this warm up, not really wanting to, I guess, show too much information, whereas Peru definitely trying to lock in right here and now.
Yeah, definitely. Well, a bit of warm up always helps, I say. I don't know if this is. I'm pretty sure this is the first warm up match, and knowing it, I think it might be on Peru's side of their warm up. So I have no idea if Brazil have played a warm up yet, or going into are we going into the match right now?
Oh, this is definitely a warm up. All right, so referee Queiroz giving us the thumbs up that this is the Brazilian warm up. Got a nice short little 1 minute map. 4.7 stars. Wonder how many jump drills are in here.
Yeah, definitely a minute. Only like 59 seconds as well. Very short map, really.
So Peru kind of opting for that more serious warm up, whereas Brazil has the funny one. It's always that duality you like to see.
Yeah. Might as well talk about really the seeding of last year as well. Like you can definitely tell there's definitely a lot of new faces in the Brazilians team. Like I'm kind of comparing it to the last year team. So they did place sixth last year, which you definitely held. And meanwhile for Peru, they kind of held a stable seed from last year, only dropping to 13th. Really.
Yeah, I think Brazil losing a bunch of big names such as Naoni Bunny and Mekiki, two players that really shined, especially during those LN picks, as well as like Zurich who could do anything, and they had like J for Boo for Rice. Um, they had a really solid squad, and honestly, this Brazilian squad this year, uh, pretty good as well as we said during qualifiers. Very well rounded. Maybe not at the same accuracy level as last year, but definitely still looking to turn over a big upset for this match. I think it is very, very much doable.
Yeah, definitely. Like even like they're still a team not really to be messed with. Especially they had fairly good SV placing in 13th. Maybe we might see a couple of SV picks this match.
Yeah, I think I was looking at the scores earlier, and Namrin Chan got something like top 15 or so individual score on the SV map. So one person to very much look for.
Yeah, I definitely do see a couple of SV faces on the Brazilian team. I'm not really too sure about the Peru team though, as they did have a slightly worse seed than um Brazil. Maybe maybe we could see a pretty good SV match. Really depending how well they practiced it, I guess.
Exactly, and that's why I'm really excited to see this upcoming protect and ban phase because I think this is really, really important for showing the other team how much like information you have. And banning SV isn't a really good sign because that shows some weakness. Maybe the other team will want to pick SV because of a ban later on.
Yeah, if I would probably assume Brazil's ban, I would assume they would most likely ban one of the rice picks, especially with Peru's placement um in in the qualifiers, coming third and fourth respectively in rice.
Yeah, I mean, the Birds midair heat stroke might be the best rice map to ban, in my opinion, just because it's like the most physically capped.
Yeah, definitely. For okay, so we are getting into the roles right now, and it does look like Peru are going to win the roll off. So I assume most likely they are going to protect the rice map, and like you said, maybe them protecting the birds with their heat stroke might be a good option.
Yeah, it's really about what they're most comfortable on. I'm sure that's going to be played if it's not banned sometime in this match. First Protect about to come out.
Oh, it looks like they are going to protect rice 5. It kind of a surprise, really. Like, I know rice 5 is one of more the one of the trickier maps, but I still think that is a very good protect, honestly.
Yeah,
So maybe Brazil opting to protect one of the SV picks. I would most likely assume that. As
oh,
they
they're
do.
going to opt for LN1. Pretty interesting. I guess it shows that this will be probably a Rice LN battle with an SV pick in between somewhere here and there.
Yeah, definitely. Right now. So now we do move on to the bans right now.
And again, Brazil first ban. We are looking at a couple of different rice maps that might be good ideas for Brazil to ban. Just really depends on what they want. Rice 3 looks pretty good. Maybe Rice 1 because of the amount of uncomfortable patterns that it presents. But SB1 gonna be the ban for Brazil, so it seems like even though they had the better qualifier seating on the SB maps, they just are not comfortable with this map.
Yeah, I definitely do think SV1. Oh, so they are going to decide to ban both SV maps, which is now going to be a Rice versus. LN battle. Maybe scatter with a couple of hybrids in it. So this is going to be, if I remember correctly, the second match now where both SV maps have been banned.
Yeah, so I mean,
And
both these teams apparently some Blue Archive haters with both Nora maps being banned, but Res 4 coming out immediately. They know what they want, and Peru seems like they want kind of like that broken jump streaming map to come in first.
yeah, I'm going to be, I kind of expecting a roast pick, especially from Peru right now.
Yeah, but again, I feel like qualifier seeding doesn't really mean too much, especially in the round of 32. We're not at that point where things are as physically demanding as the maps presented last week. But I mean, I think Brazil can really take this match. It can be a definite upset. It's just that they have to play to perfection, especially on Peru's picks.
Yeah, if so, this will be a very good match to watch right now.
Yeah, 100%. And Peru, on the other hand, needs to be consistent. I don't think they can drop a single note. And to be fair, we haven't seen a lot of drops, and we probably won't this week, but it's just really important to hammer in the fact that consistency is key, especially early on when you are the higher seed. You just need to lock in and you need to uh, set a good score. It doesn't have to be your PB, but it has to be good enough to beat the other teams.
Yeah, especially in the early setting, especially in early game where like mostly you kind of have to aim for 990k without joking, really, maybe get the V1SS. And here we are now kicking off the first match, uh, the first um, map of this match right now.
Nutalina and Defu, one player on each team. Kind of rough starts, dropped a couple of early grades, but nothing that a couple more notes can't salvage. Currently, Peru with a decently sized lead, about 2,000 points. But again, as I said, consistency is needed, and Defu dropping will definitely help Brazil in this match.
Yeah, it was a pretty unlucky early choke. However, both players keeping fairly consistent, and score gap does get wider as Defu does not get, as Defu is still kind of climbing up to max combo again, kind of giving a decent lead to Brazil early on.
And Brazil having pretty good accuracies overall. Everyone on the Brazilian team had a 99.6 or higher, whereas Peru, two players above a 99.7, but with that Defu drop, it's gonna hand it over to Brazil with about 6,500 points in their name. We're about 2/3 of the way in and getting more into that broken jump stream. Uh, Probably gonna need a couple of bad judgments on the side of Brazil.
Yeah, as I can really see right now, it does not look like we're going to see any... Oh, just as I say that, Natalina does find a draw near the end, giving the lead back to Peru right now, as, as the score gap kind of increases now.
And with this map closing out, Peru actually gonna save this map from the jaws of defeat, with Namrin-chan even breaking, also Sotin, so no FCs left on the Brazilian side. Again, map finishing up, and two FCs from Makako and Sisamu.
Yeah, it was very unfortunate at the end, as we do see some very good scores overall. You know, no V1SS unfortunately, but we have seen very close with Makaku getting 1 200 and Samu getting 2 200s as well. That ratio from Defu is very impressive as well. Unfortunately, they did find a drop near the early at the start as well.
Samu definitely one to look for when it comes to Rice picks on the Peruvian team. Played throughout all of the Rice qualifiers, did really well, and probably going to be a mainstay on most of these maps, as well as Defu. For Brazil, when they pick LN, it's probably going to be Z Curry, Villanovino, and Nutelina.
So it does look like they are going to resort to picking LN3, which is Analyze. Um, I I don't remember what map it is. Is it Coronation, if I remember correctly? I don't really remember.
All I know is that it's a very, very silly map. It's probably one that is like the best to pick against for teams that aren't great at LN.
Yeah, definitely. Like seeing some of the scores from the last matches, I can definitely see, it's definitely a good pick for some teams.
A couple of patterns included. Um, I know that there's one part where you hold two columns and then trill on the other two, as well as a full inverse portion at the end. Granted, it's really slow and the gaps aren't too tight, but still, it can give people some trouble.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like this is kind of going to be the flow of the match, especially Peru probably going to try get more rice picks in. Meanwhile, Brazil probably trying to fight more in LN. You know, we might probably see a hybrid pick being thrown in there. Maybe hybrid 2, that is probably the harder hybrid pick um, out of the two hybrid maps right now. Maybe it could be a decent choice for Brazil picking it.
Probably, especially if they don't feel too comfortable on one or two of the LN maps, CyberConnect might be a pretty good accuracy check.
Yeah, and here we are, now kicking into the second map of the match right now. Both teams did manage to get a fairly decent start, all holding fairly respectable accuracy right now. Mostly 99.8, but we are kind of starting to see people getting settled in now, so kind of dropping a slight bit of ack as the lead does go to Brazil right now.
Yeah, and as the players settle in, it becomes apparent that there is just kind of that inherent accuracy difference between Peru and Brazil when it comes to early game LNs. You see Villanovino, Namrinchan, and Nutilina all above 99.7. So well above a 990, whereas you have a couple people struggling on the Peruvian side in terms of minimizing grades. Looking at Spectro here with a 99.5 as well as Macaco.
Yeah, this is definitely a pretty good. This is definitely a pretty good match for Brazil right now. As Natalina holding a 99.8, actually, unfortunately, dropping down to 99.77. The only player I'm pretty sure who is under the mark is Villa right now, holding a 99.65. Still very good. And now we're getting into kind of the final release section now, and it does look like this game is going to be going. This map is probably going to be going to Brazil, holding that 8k point difference. All FCs though, which is very good.
Yeah, that final inverse wall didn't phase anyone. Everyone got through it really well, but again, as I said, it's just that accuracy difference. Nutilina, Namrinchan, 200 each, uh, and about 3 or 4 for every person on the Peruvian team. Brazil gonna take that pretty comfortably.
Now it does look like Peru is going to be picking Rice 5 now, which, if I remember correctly, it was their Protect, I'm pretty sure. Or was that? No, that was Rice 4, I'm pretty sure.
I believe Rice 5 was their protect, and they just picked Rice 4 first. But either way, I mean, this map, as you said, pretty tricky, still pretty physically demanding compared to some of the other maps in the Rice pool, especially with the speed that it is. You'll see here, BPM is 280, and I think some of the rolly streams are just straight 1/4, so again, very fast.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be another interesting match, really, as I usually say. Especially now, both teams are tied 1-all, both winning their picks, and we are getting a sub in now. So, Mordas is now getting subbed in for. Sorry, I forgot the name.
I think it was Namrin Chan.
Yeah, Nemritan's now getting subbed for Mordas 68. Uh, like don't know if there's any subs for the other team. I wasn't really looking. I think there was, if I remember correctly.
I believe so. I'm not too sure either, but I mean, you gotta remember that Peru only won that last rice pick because Brazil honestly kind of choked at the end. I mean, Peru had that early miss, but Brazil had a lead for the majority of the map, I'd say.
Yeah, it definitely would have. It definitely would have seemed like a break point if Brazil didn't unfortunately choke throughout the first rice pick right now. And we're now kicking off into the third map of the match right now, which is going to be Rice 5. One of the more the trickier picks, I would say. But again, but again, I think both teams can handle it pretty well.
And with this opening intro, the speed immediately hitting you, all players doing just fine. Um, looks like Peru has that early act advantage.
Yeah, this map is pretty tricky to act in general. You know, coming at like those stairs, a couple of those notes, here and there. You know, yeah, they definitely do have the accuracy advantage. Two players holding 99.8. Meanwhile, Macaco climbing back up to 99.8. Meanwhile, on the Brazilian side, Italiana kind of falling a bit behind compared to the rest of Brazil, holding a 99.51. Oh, and Mordes dropping midway between the map, unfortunately, giving a big lead to Peru right now.
Yeah, I was gonna say that Villanovino is doing really well to keep up with some of the other members on the Peruvian team, but Yelena unfortunately having a bit too many grades for their liking, as well as Mortas dropping uh, a miss, means that Peru has about 20,000 points with a third of the map left to go. There's not a lot of wiggle room for Brazil. It's all on Peru's hands to drop the ball.
Yeah, definitely. Right now. It doesn't really seem like this map is really going anywhere unless we do see some colossal chokes, which is probably unlikely. And now we're heading into the final part of the map with again, keeping the map keeping very consistent with the streams and a couple of scattered jacks as well. But it does look like this map is going to be going to Peru with almost a 30k point difference as well. Is that a V1, two V1 double S's on Peru? 996 from Samu, which is honestly very impressive as well.
Yeah, only 1-200 on the entire Peruvian team, whereas Brazil struggled just a little bit more, so Peru is going to take this way more convincingly than their last pick, Rice 4.
Yeah, villain, villain coming in with 1-200 as well, which again, that still a very nice score overall, especially coming in from all the Peruvian members. Definitely getting a very solid ratio, but unfortunately dropping 200 as well.
Thankfully, it is Brazil up next to pick, and they are going to go for Dark Tides. And honestly, I'm not sure how I feel about this one. It does seem like Brazil has the better handle on a lens. However, I think that this map is probably one of the easier maps in the pool, so I think that Peru could possibly beat Brazil based on accuracy or maybe if someone gets an unfortunate drop.
Yeah, definitely. Well, assuming that Brazil did I protect this? I don't really remember.
No, I'm not sure either, but I think they might have. Honestly, I don't know.
Me neither. But I'd assume Brazil are fairly confident in this map. However, again, assuming what you said that you think Peru have a chance to make a breakpoint here, I definitely do think so as well. Especially it's kind of one of the easier ones. So again, it could be anyone's game, especially if someone drops a couple of misjudgments or a miss, really.
Yeah, I did check, and it was Brazil's Protect. So I mean, at least it means that it's the LN map where Brazil is the most confident on. So I'm expecting some very good scores, especially with the reintroduction of Namrin-chan, their team captain. Get that morale boost up, and I think this Brazilian squad is very, very capable when it comes to LN. For Peru, we are going to see the first of the Peruvian team captain Zuste, as well as Defu and Spectro backing them up.
Well, just seeing like all new players getting subbed in, this is definitely going to be a very interesting match to watch.
Yeah, you change one little thing in the skill set needed for these LNs, and you get totally different teams. So it's good to see that both teams are making use of all of six of their players. Because, a lot of the times you will see the same three players on the same skill sets.
Yeah, like I do say, it is very good to show diversity in teams, especially that it's always safe to know that you have a bit of backup, no matter like what they are good or bad at, really.
And with this pick, Dark Tides, it's pretty wild cardy. I mean, it's kind of like a density map, but there are like release elements and some coordination, especially with the rice objects involved. But overall, I feel like it doesn't really have a set, motif. Brazil gonna have a slight lead, but this map is very long, clocking in at 3.5 minutes.
Yeah, I can definitely tell it's probably one of the more maps you have to be consistent at. And coming in now, we do see Namira-chan and Asilina both holding respectful 99.8s, keep it, having the highest accuracy between all the players. Meanwhile, Villa kind of falling a bit behind with 99.62, but regardless, still holding fairly respectful accuracy. Maybe having an unfortunate drop of maybe 200, but overall, um, I don't know.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, Billy Novino doing their best to keep up with Zuste. I think both of them basically tied with each other, but it's really that uh, Namrin-chan and Utilina are doing better than Spectro and Defu combined. We are getting into the back half of the map, so I think patterns do get a little bit more spicy, a little bit harder, but overall it's more of the same, kind of like what you said. It's just a consistency test, and unfortunately, consistency is not there with Zuste, as they will drop uh, with that coordination section.
Yeah, it definitely seems like Brazil are extremely consistent with this map. As again, all holding, all holding still very respectable accuracy right now. Still keeping consistent accuracy since the start of the map. Actually, most players still keeping um very respectable consistency right now. Again, it just really comes down to who gets more misjudgments or who finds an unfortunate drop that can really change it. Again, it is still everyone's game. Now going into the final quarter of the map, and I'm pretty sure the patterns can get a bit spicier, as you said from before, right now.
Just the slightest bit, but I don't think anyone really has been phased by it. I think everyone has pretty much stayed at that same accuracy since the first couple of notes, but Villanovanho gonna take a very dirty drop. It's gonna make a bit of a dent in the lead, however, time is ticking. There's only a little bit of the map left, and with the lead of about 8,000, even though it's slightly dropping, with Juste dropping that note, I think the fate is sealed and Brazil is gonna take this map.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. You know, the trade back. Wait,
There's
wait,
a fake
wait.
out Bancho miss
Was that
by
client side? Yeah, that was
yeah.
client side. Wow. Overall, very solid scores for Italina having free 200 and Spectre also having free 200s. Unfortunately, finding an 100 for the map as well.
think there should really be any drops or any large drops in accuracy through bad judgments, but Peru can always make something happen on this map.
Yeah, like I do say, it is anyone's game really for most of these maps. However, we have not seen a breakpoint yet for this match. Being a very respectable Rice versus LN match. But if we do see a breakpoint in this match, I'm honestly going to have to say that that the match is definitely going to go to Peru, especially their Rice 1 pick. So let's just see what happens. But let's just not really focus on that right now. Let's just kind of focus on this map right now. And it does look like Nariran-chan is getting sub backed in, along with Villain as well, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, so two players that did pretty well on the LN on for the last pick. Armin-chan, I think, had some crazy score. I believe top scored in the lobby. Peru gonna have Spectro, Defu, and Samu. So you've seen a lot of Defu and Samu. It's just that I feel like the skill set for both of them is a bit imbalanced, but they're really good at Rice and just like a little bit above average when it comes to LN. So we're gonna have to see how this goes here. And again, this map kind of long, 2 minutes 45. It's all density at 136 BPM, but there's some kind of like release tricks involved.
Yeah, and it does look like the first drop that Defu is going to be finding that very early drop right now. Spectre and Natalina kind of having a slight rough start at the very intro of the map, but again, they kind of trade it off and they're coming back up their accuracy right now. Meanwhile, Samu... Actually, no, never mind. I thought that was an 8.
Kind of hard to read, but what's also pretty difficult is Peru trying to mount a comeback because Spectro is their leading player. Actually, Sasamu now with 99.6. But the thing is, that is worse than all three players on the Brazilian side. 8,000 points over to Brazil's name. And I mean, Narman-chan, Nutelina, and Villanovino are on a different wave right now. They are in sync.
Yup, definitely. The signs of life in Brazil are reaching higher, as I said.
Finally about halfway in, and no real change made. In fact, I think Brazil just really keeping up that point advantage, maybe making it larger by just a little bit. Defu and Spectro looking to try to peek over that 99.6, but again, it's just kind of like Peru is basically at around the same level with each other in terms of individual scores on their team, as well as Brazil, but Brazil's bar is way much higher. And Namrin-chan and Nutelina have dropped just a little bit, but still definitely a lot of points that Peru has to make up.
Yep, definitely. Especially that very early drop that happened in Peru's side definitely sort of hurt their score quite a decent bit. You know, right now we are seeing very good performance going on by Team Brazil, with Villain holding a very solid 99.73 right. Meanwhile, the other two players slightly behind them, but nevertheless, they are still performing very well right now, as we do get to the outro of the map, and it does look like this is going to go to Brazil, tying the game 3-all right now.
Yeah, 10,000 point lead from Brazil at the end, and I'd call that pretty convincing overall. I think that everyone on Brazil did their part to kind of stay away from everyone else on Peru, and it worked. Again, Defu did miss, but I don't think with that miss it would have mattered. Even if they had FC'd, Brazil still would have taken it by maybe like 4,000 points or something like that.
And it does look like Peru's second ban is going to be LN5, which is Show. And they are now going to be picking the final Rice map, which is going to be Rice 1, Kissed Sexy Robot, leaving one LN map and both the hybrid maps left available. And it does look like Kaku is being subbed in for this map, if I remember correctly. Maybe we might see a return of Mortis for Team Brazil again, as we've seen from their Rice performance. He he can they could probably perform pretty well in this map.
Yeah, and I totally get why Peru wanted to pick this last because, as I've said before, there are a lot of tricky little patterns in here. I mean, it's your standard Alien Carp FFR style-ish map. There's a lot of mixed rice elements, but also some light tech involved. Um, Mainly gonna look at the map during that halfway point where you get some funny business going on.
Yeah, definitely. So Peru may be in a bit of trouble after this map unless they can find a point in one of the LN picks or hybrid picks. So most likely, I do think Brazil are going to be picking their final LN pick. And honestly, if you want me to predict now, I feel like this match could potentially go into tiebreaker, bringing our first tiebreaker this year right now.
Yeah, I totally agree. This could definitely go the distance, but for now, Peru does need to make it to match point before they can even think about tiebreaker or taking this map or match.
And it definitely does seem that Peru are finding themselves a very hefty lead. Meanwhile, Villain unfortunately finding an early drop in the map right now.
Yeah, that early drop from Villanovino not gonna help. Utulina, very impeccable accuracy. However, unfortunately for them on Peru, impeccable accuracy from all three other players. You do get some of these funny patterns, those anchored uh, jacks, and then we are gonna see something else very, very soon.
If I did see it, I don't think anyone has fell for those patterns, which definitely is probably one of the tricky patterns to map. Oh, it does look like Villain is unfortunately going to be dropping on that trill as well. Unfortunately, taking their act down to 98 right now.
Yeah, that inside two-hand trill really catching out the Brazilian players. You saw Villanovino dropping a lot of 200s before finally missing, as well as Namrin-chan taking a big drop in accuracy. And Peru honestly stood strong during that whole section.
Yeah, if they're definitely a Rice-oriented team, I don't really know what else to say to you, as all the players in Brazil, they can't really keep up right now with Peru. The closest right now is Atelina holding a 99.7 button, rifling Makaku. But again, with the other two players in Peru holding very solid 99.8 right now, it just definitely seems that this map is going to be going to Peru right now with a 50k lead, which is honestly very impressive on Peru's side.
Yeah, I think the largest win we've seen in this match so far, and it's gonna take Peru all the way to match point. So only one more needed. They do need to take this pick from Brazil if they want to take the match without going to TB. However, with Brazil having, I think, LN2 up, it might be a tall order.
Definitely. So if they do pick LN2, not the hyper map's been picked, which has been a pure Rice versus LN LN match right now. So we're just waiting now to see what they pick. And it does look like they are going to be picking LN2, which is going to be Beldanu. I don't know, is it?
I don't know either. I'll leave that to Pataraj for another day. Um, but this LN map gonna be picked, and this one is very releasey, so I think that the minimization of 200 is very, very important in this, which means that it's all the much harder for Peru.
Yeah, definitely. And it is mapped by not the one and only her LN mapper.
Yeah, definitely one of the most interesting names in the Mania community right now. Her LN mapper, staying true, map some LN just for her.
Imagine. Maybe everyone just needs an LN mapper. once in our lifetime.
Maybe. And I think lineups are being solidified right now, so more of the same that we've seen from Brazil. Villanovino, Namrinchan, and Italina, whereas Peru is missing a third player.
Yeah,
Oh,
okay.
there
So
we go.
it looks like Irazu is coming back in for their match, and it does look like they are going to abort. If I do know correctly, I'm pretty sure they did sub in very late there. So it does look like Spectro is going to be taking their spot instead. Meanwhile, Brazil is still holding their same team right now.
So just need a little reload. Actually, I think we needed an abort because the wrong player was in, but with everything settled, I mean, the tension was honestly cut with that abort, but I feel like it's mounting up again where Brazil needs this last point. Try to take it to TB to have that outside shot of making a huge upset in the winner's side of round of 32.
Yep, just like you said, this this is definitely going to be an interesting match, an interesting map to watch both players in. So if Peru manage to take the match point, they will be moving on to the winner. They'll be moving on in the winners bracket, and again sending Brazil down to the losers bracket. So it does look like the match has started, and no one has really been seeing any rough starts.
No, not at all. In fact, score flickering back and forth, which is honestly not what I expected, and with slight early lead over to... Oh, nope, still flicking back and forth.
Definitely, all the players are now kind of finding their own spot in their accuracy right now. All players, all players holding solid accuracy right now. I'm pretty sure most of them pretty are tying right now. You know, um, Defu holding onto that 99.8, kind of holding a slight lead right now. Meanwhile, I do think some of the players on Brazil, Namir-chan, might have found themselves 200 midway for the map, same as Tatalina. But I could just kind of imagine just the nerves right now on the verge of match point is definitely pressurizing. That lead does slightly wiggle towards Brazil as Spectro may have dropped a misjudgment for
Yeah,
dropping it to 99.5 right now.
and maybe a bad judgment, too many for their liking, because now Brazil is starting to take over. For basically that first half of the map, we saw Villanovino try to keep up with Defu. However, now it's looking like the tables are turned, whereas Namrinchan and Nutalina were matching Makako and Spectro. But again, Namrinchan and Nutalina just the better consistency overall, not really dropping any accuracy with all these releases thrown at you. And Brazil with a 6,000 point lead when they were in kind of dire straits in the first half of the map.
Definitely. You know, we are seeing very exceptional gameplay for all people in playing right now. Especially all of them again. Like I did say with Peru, like even if you do perform at your best, like you'd probably still lose against Peru just because they're that good at rice. For Brazil, meanwhile for Brazil, it's like you could be performing very well in LN, but they would probably take it off you. And now with Brazil winning, it does look like we are going to be getting into tiebreaker right now. The tiebreaker hype right now, actually.
Yeah, so we are gonna see that Burger 8 Pizza special map by UC and that squad, as well as the cool storyboard to boot. So any predictions for this TV, right, Corey?
Honestly, I can't really say a lot. I don't really remember how physical this TV is right now. So I don't know. It's just it's completely random for me, honestly.
Yeah, I think for this map, the amount of LN difficulty scares me for Peru because there's enough LN difficulty where someone can take a break, whereas Brazil, I don't think will really find any. But maybe that can be said for some of the rice bursts here.
Yeah, definitely, honest, definitely. You know, anything can really happen in this match right now.
Yeah, all I know is that Peru and Brazil are definitely gonna make it a good tiebreaker, good and competitive. Most of the maps we've seen so far have been very close overall.
Yeah, overall, this has been an amazing match for all players, especially for the later half, as all players have been performing exceptional, honestly.
Just kind of that standard Rice team versus LN team, and no team taking break points.
Yeah, definitely. But you know, honestly, seeing a tiebreaker and just witnessing a tiebreaker is honestly very, very. I don't know the word. I'm kind of lost right now.
I mean, it's very scary for everyone involved, right? The absolute nerves on some of these players. I talked about it kind of at the beginning of this broadcast, but Brazil has all new faces. I'm not very sure how involved they are in the tournament community, how many tiebreakers they've played, you know. So that might be a factor. Peru, again, they're the higher seed. They're seed 13. They're supposed to win against Brazil in maybe not comfortable fashion, but a lot of people were riding on Peru winning. And now they're kind of in this spot where they have to play a map that has a lot of elements involved that honestly Brazil are better at skill set wise. So there's a lot riding on the line because you kind of want to get to that next round through the winner's side.
And may I also add as well that, as Kira said, hopefully you guys, hopefully the people on both teams aren't citing this because, as mentioned before, there is SB in this as well. And knowing that Brazil had the higher seed in SB. Well, I know seeding doesn't really mean much, honestly, but I do think that Brazil might have the upper hand in SB, as I do recognize some players who are fairly decent who are fairly good at SB, and I don't know.
No, yeah, I totally agree. Where it's like it's not standard for SV to really be in any tiebreakers, or at least it hasn't been for a very long time. And now that we're seeing this reintroduction in the round of 32 tiebreaker of this year's 40M, it's so important now for these players to really set the standard. And you do need to practice tiebreaker to an extent just because of these added SBs.
Yeah, definitely. And this is a very long map, clocking in at 5 minutes and 32 seconds at 190 BPM. Honestly, it just has the whole lot. Rice, LN, SV, probably hybrid sections as well. And overall just consistency as well.
Yeah, that intro there was basically pure LN, but as we transition into this mixed rice, we probably will see Peru make a little bit of that deficit back.
Yeah, they're again like they're all climbing back up their accuracy right now. As um we do see a lot of scores being tied right now. With Defu and Villa. Oh, Namir Chan unfortunately finding 2 drops pretty early in the map right now, which is definitely gonna hurt the Brazilian team right now.
Yeah, it honestly kind of makes me wonder if that was like a keyboard issue or something, because I feel like those drops, as I was looking at them, weren't really at difficult sections of the map, but thankfully they were clean overall, and we still have about 4 minutes left to go. Everyone else doing great. We've got, I believe, Defu as the front runner. Villanovino on Brazilian side trying to catch up, as well as Sisamu and Makako close by. Nutella and Namrinchan trying to fight it out, all for those spots 4 through 6. But we're gonna have that slight bit of an advantage because of Namrinchan's 2 drops.
Yeah, as you said, both players on, the two players on Brazil are rifling out their opponents fairly solidly, as Villavino is rifling Defu fairly solidly. However, having a slight accuracy disadvantage, but unfortunately not too big. As I did think we did see Lukaku and Natalina slightly drop in accuracy, maybe a small misjudgment between both of them, but however, it does definitely seem like it has been traded between. And unfortunately, that drop from Namir Chan is again slightly gonna hurt the performance of the Brazilian team. But again, oh, unfortunately, he does. Unfortunately, Namir Chan. Oh, and Villavino does find a drop as well. That is definitely gonna hurt the Brazilian team, as there's only one full combo left on Team Brazil right now.
Yeah, it's really unfortunate for Brazil because Namrinchan did drop, but I think the bigger portion of it was that they couldn't get their accuracy up in spite of that drop. And Villanovino also taking a miss. I think that's 3 total as opposed to Peru with that triple FC. And honestly, I really haven't seen any big accuracy drops from them ever since the start of the map. I think they've been pretty rock steady throughout.
Yeah, honestly, I'd probably have to agree with you. I did a few more misjudgments on Lukaku, I'm pretty sure right now. But honestly, when you're comparing like a small few misjudgments to breaks from 2 players, especially midway through the map, it doesn't really compare, honestly. But both players on Team Brazil are back to the max combo count. Oh, and Mixamu is gonna find the first drop in the Peruvian team right now.
Yeah, first drop pretty big. There's a quarter of the map left, so someone really needs to step up on Brazil, but unfortunately Villanovino is going to find a second drop. Still the only FC on their side is Nutelinha, Defu, and Mixamu. Actually, Defu and Mikako holding on so strongly. Defu has been such a driving force in Peru's success in this match, and it's going to continue like so. And as I say that, they are going to take a miss. However, it's not going to mean much. 12,000 points over to Peru's name. And I mean, Makako's still holding a higher FC than, compared to Villanovino and Namrinchan.
Yeah, and now we are approaching the final backhand of the map with 11k point lead to Peru, only holding 1 FC now between Mikaku and Natalina. The Mirachan finding their way back up to a 2k combo. All players now reaching the max combo count again, but unless we see any colossal drops in Peru, it does definitely look like the match is going to go to Peru with Samu finding another drop, unfortunately.
Yeah, 10,000 points. I think this is done and dusted. Brazil really tried their best on this TB. Nutelina with an amazing FC, matching or even surpassing Makako's. So I think they might get, top FC score in the lobby, but those last couple of misses really hurt the Brazilian squad. Villanovino and Namrinchan taking a couple spread throughout, and Peru just really played that combo game way better in the map. So it is going to be a GG. Peru is going to defend, and no upset will be made. They are going to advance to the round of 16 through the winners bracket.
Yep, and that does mean Brazil is unfortunately going to be moved down to the losers bracket. But honestly, after facing a very solid team, especially like Peru, Brazil are definitely going to be no joke in the losers bracket right now.
So, with that being said, we are going to transition into our next match. So, again, GG's to Peru and Brazil. Very well fought